We recently got the July job numbers from the Trump administration, folks, and it is not looking good. It is not looking good. It's not looking good for the Trump administration, and consequently, that means it's not looking good for us, the American people, y'all. Oh boy, all of these Trump tariffs, all of these like unstable economic policies that he keeps putting in and taking out and changing, it's 10% tariffs today. Tomorrow it's 20% tariffs. The next day it's 100% tariffs. Then we don't have any tariffs. We're going to cancel the tariffs. We're going to push them off for another 6 weeks. We're going to push them off for another 90 days, right? All of these tariffs have been happening, all of these wild economic policies, and the economy has remained relatively stable during this whole entire duration of this crazy instability, right? And, the Trump administration has been like, and MAGA world has been like, oh, you know what? Look, the economy is doing great. So I don't know why anybody's complaining. He's doing a great job with the economy. Well, it turns out, folks, that in fact is incorrect. So the July job numbers came in. And according to CNBC, the United States added just 73,000 jobs in July. And not just did it only add 73,000, and just so you know, economists have projected that we would be adding 100,000 jobs in July, and we only added 73,000. But that's not the worst part. Not only that, but the numbers for prior months that we had been given were actually revised to be much lower, y'all. So the numbers that we were given for the previous couple months where things have been stable, everything has been okay, those have been amended, and they've been amended down, y'all. They're clicking, but they're clicking down, okay? And so specifically, those revisions specifically were for May and June, and the jobs that were added were revised down by 125,000 jobs in May and 133,000 jobs in June. So what they reported in May is actually 125,000 jobs less than what they reported. And what they reported in June is actually thousand positions less than what they reported in June. So we have abysmal job numbers for July. Then the job numbers that looked pretty good in June and May have actually turned out to be worse, y'all, by 125,000 and 133,000 respectively. And that makes May and June of 2025 the worst months of job growth since mass layoffs in 2020, y'all. Do you remember what was happening in 2020? I do. It was called the pandemonium. Some may also remember or refer to it as the Panda Express. We were going through it. Lockdown. The economy was in the gutter. And the jobs growth that we're experiencing now is worse than the mass layoffs since 2020 during the pandemonium, y'all. And remember, the Trump administration been telling us everything is fine. But part of the reason why they've been able to do that is because, again, you have to look into the numbers. You can't just look at the numbers. You have to look into the numbers, okay? And so a lot of, in July, that job growth, that 73,000 job growth was almost exclusively, I don't want to say exclusively, but a lot of it was in the healthcare sector and other like big money sectors like tech. Okay. So as usual, it's like tech's doing good, so we're all doing good. But that's not the case, because actually, the numbers, let me pull this up. Actually, manufacturing jobs have gone down by 11,000 in July. All right. So while there was gains, and it wasn't great gains, but there were some gains, industries were actually losing, like Manufacturing, that's the working class. That's the bread and butter of this country, right? That is the so-called working class that Republicans lie to the people and tell them that they're working for, right? Manufacturing jobs down by 11,000. Local government jobs down by 3,000. All right. Healthcare was up, thankfully. Social assistance, retail, finance, of course, the finance industry, those were up. Okay. But unfortunately, things like, professional and business services were also down, and the federal government down 12,000. 12,000 in July and down 84,000 since January. What happened in January? Trump took office and started what? Doge, started slashing the government employees, right? So government employees, manufacturers, these are the positions that are getting hit. The working class, the regular people out there, the people that supposedly Republicans are supposedly working for, right? So things are not looking good, folks, in the job market. Things are not looking good, guys. The June job numbers were the weakest since December 2020. Okay, again, we remember what was going on in 2020. This is the peak. December of 2020 is the peak of us being in lockdown and all that economic turmoil that we went through. So, guys, this is unfortunately probably going to be the beginning of a downward trend. All right. We know that what's going on with this president, we know that this guy, his goal is to tank the economy. We've talked about that, right? Who benefits when the economy tanks but the wealthy? The top, the billionaires, the CEO, the CEOs, the corporations, right? Those are the people, the people who have the big government contracts, the Elons out there, right? Those are the people who benefit from a downturn economy. Remember, this system, capitalism, is a setup, right? It's a freaking setup. And the only people who win in capitalism are the capitalists. And no, Buki, you having $10,000 saved in your savings account does not make you a capitalist. We're talking about the billionaires. We're talking about the multimillionaires. We're talking about the CEOs. Okay, that's who we're talking about when we talk about capitalists. We're talking about the people we don't even know, the scary people behind the curtain, in the shadows, the real money makers, right? That's who we're talking about, the people who are influencing the whole entire planet. Those are the capitalists, not you and your cute little business that pulls in $500,000 a year. You ain't I hate to break it to you, but you're not a capitalist. You're a cog in the wheel, just like me, just like the rest of us. So capitalism only benefits the capitalists, y'all. And it's such a setup because no matter what's going on in the economy, they win. Economy's booming, they're winning. Economy's busting, they're winning. We're in war, they're winning. We're in peacetime, they're winning. Because that's the setup. No matter what, they always win. I think about the job market. Sorry, not the job market, the housing market. I was trying to buy a house a few years ago, biggest mistake of my life, because that's when the market crashed, right? And it makes me think of the housing market, right? The market is in the pits right now because of the mortgage rates skyrocketing, right? Mortgage rates are skyrocketing, but then what happens when mortgage rates are skyrocketing? The housing prices go down, right? So it's like, okay, you can get a cheaper house, but the money that you're saving on the house, you're paying in the mortgage, right? And then when the mortgages go down, what happens? The housing prices go up. It's a setup, y'all. It's a setup, and the only people who win are the capitalists. The capitalists, y'all. And it's so wild. So when people are asking themselves, why is Trump making all these really bad, risky economic moves, right? This instability, the economy thrives on stability, right? This nonstop instability with the tariffs one day, the tariffs not here the next day. We're tariffing your uncle today. We're tariffing your auntie tomorrow. We're tariffing your little sister, the one that got a limp. We're tariffing her on Tuesday, right? And then we're going to turn around and go, no, actually, we're not tariffing them. JK, right? All of that instability, that market instability, who benefits? Him. Trump, his billionaire cronies. Let's not forget who was in that first row at the inauguration. Billionaires, okay? That's who's benefiting from all of this. When the market is down, they win. When the market is up, they win. It's only us who get screwed when the market changes and vacillates. It's only us. It's only the people, those working class people, the manufacturing jobs that we lost so many of this month. It's only us, folks. We're the losers. We're the ones who are getting screwed. And, I liken this to venture capitalists, right? And what do they call private equity companies, right? Those companies who go in, they buy up a company that's failing. They take it over under the, guise of we're here to build this company back up. We're going to save it from itself. We're going to new management, fix everything. And what do they end up doing? They end up slashing the workforce. They lay everybody in the company off. They basically run the company into the ground. And then what do? They file for bankruptcy, right? Chapter whatever bankruptcy. And then they turn around and they make a profit. So they squeeze the company dry for everything they can get out of it. Then they file for bankruptcy and then they turn a profit. And then they tell us that we just need to work harder. So that's why we're experiencing, this is how these billionaires and these CEOs, this is how they approach the economy. We're all out here thinking that they're so smart and that they're doing, they're so smart in how they approach. No, the system is rigged in their favor. They don't have to worry about making smart investments because if their investment fails, who cares? They can just recoup it and make another investment. And don't forget that the government is protecting them, making sure that they're lowering their taxes. Don't forget that the banks, they're hiding their money in offshore accounts, right? Like, let's not forget that that's how this system is going. We're the only losers who are really adhering to this system. The people who created it and are benefiting from it, they don't even play the game. They're above it. And that's why you see Donald Trump and his cronies making these psycho-ass decisions when it comes to the economy. That's why we see the jobs report that we saw for July. Only 73,000 when economists predicted 100,000 new jobs. Manufacturing down by 11,000 jobs. Government down by, over 10,000 jobs. This is all part of the plan, y'all. And if you're not hip, if you don't get hip to it, you're going to continue jumping on that hamster wheel and running the rat race, thinking that at some point you're going to be able to, catch up to the millionaires and the billionaires. And that's just not how it freaking works. That's just not how it works.